Tonight, as winter sets in, the city of St. John's shuts the door on homeless protesters.
The debate about washrooms in Bannerman Park continues, but with winter weather becoming a reality, people say that's now the least of their worries.
Many houseless people, many that I've known and worked with and organized with over the past, die, frozen, and this is a reality. So it is a matter of survival.
I'll have that story coming up.
Well, it is finally snowing here in St. John's. We've been waiting all day for this, and there have been many business and school closures on top of it. The storm tracked a little further west, bringing about 15 centimeters through to Gander and the Burin Peninsula. We'll talk about what's ahead tonight, coming up on Here and Now.
Well, things may look a little bit more normal at the Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill this week, but it's still very much unknown about the future of this place.
The mill's up and running. I haven't had an opportunity to chat with them about the recent shutdown and what it will mean for the future.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll have an update for you on the Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We'll get to those stories shortly, but first, human remains were discovered today in a wooded area near Grand Falls, Windsor. Not much else is known at this time. The RCMP says it's investigating along with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The person's cause of death as well as their identity have not yet been disclosed. Well, the city of St. John's has closed the washrooms in Bannerman Park, the site of a homeless tent encampment. The move comes after advocates asked the city to keep the washrooms open longer. Now the city is asking the province to step in and help. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports.
It's tough watching this. People are suffering, and we're all trying to do our best. I think what we need everybody to work together to try to help people out.
This is St. John's Mayor Danny Breen's emotional reaction to the tent encampment in Bannerman Park. And yet, he says, continued vandalism, feces on the floor, and needles and garbage clogging up the toilets has forced the city to close the park's washrooms.
The staff said that no longer were they willing to work in those conditions, so we don't have the staff to clean up and to keep the washrooms in the condition that they're required to be healthy, and so we were forced into the situation of closing them.
Not a legitimate reason to take washroom access from people, says this advocate.
Public washrooms everywhere are subject to issues, and those issues are a maintenance issue. The easy answer is step up maintenance. This is not new. This was happening earlier, before the encampment.
As an alternative to the washrooms, the city asked the provincial government to put up portable toilets on colonial building grounds, something they refused to do.
I would expect the city to step up and to maintain that facility and keep it open. Why they won't, that's up for the mayor to decide. If he thinks portable toilets are an answer, then he'll have to bring those forward and he can put them on the city's property if that's what he thinks is appropriate.
The decision to close the washrooms was met with shock in the encampment, mixed with fear about people's safety amid winter storms and heavy snowfall. Both the city and provincial governments are urging those in the park to go to either a shelter or a warming center.
No one's going. We are not going anywhere until we get safe housing where we won't get triggered to go and use drugs. We want affordable housing so we can take our kids and our pets there. We want a sensible neighborhood. We want to live safely.
Many houseless people die, frozen, and this is a reality. So it is a matter of survival. We need to keep our eye on housing issues, permanent housing issues. That's what could be done immediately. Failing that, yes, let's keep people warm, but let's keep them warm nearby the camp. Let's open those shower facilities in Bannerman Park. Let's reopen that washroom.
Breen said he will continue to work with the provincial government to find solutions for bathroom access here in Bannerman Park. Meanwhile, fears grow that with winter weather coming and no long-term housing solutions in sight, people's lives might be at risk. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Meantime, there is political reaction to the province's refusal to provide alternative washrooms to people living in those tents.
You've got the Colonial building next door, beautifully renovated. It has washrooms, so provide staff there, open up the washrooms there so people can use if you're not going to provide the porta potties. But shame on them. It's just to wash their hands of it like that is just reprehensible. And I expect better from Minister Abbott, who was Minister of Children, Seniors and Social Development. He, of all people, should know of the trauma and of the difficulty this is going to create. But to me, I can't even believe I'm talking about porta potties, but what I've been arguing for all along has been we need to address the housing issue.
We know there's a major snowstorm coming here in the city, and currently we have approximately 30 people who are still down in what they call Tent City behind Colonial building who have no housing. At the same time, government today has announced they're going to close this building. So they have a plan to close Confederation building. So what I'm asking is, what is the plan for the people in Tent City? What is government planning on doing to make sure that these people do not have to weather this storm outdoors?
Well, now to the West Coast. After a week-long shutdown, the mill in Corner Brook is up and running for now, but the long-term future of the operation is still unknown. Both government and the company, Kruger, won't talk about it. Here and Now's Colleen Connors has this update.
Well, things in Corner Brook look a little bit more normal this week with the smokestacks running again and things slowly getting back to normal at the Corner Brook Pulp and Paper Mill after a week shutdown. But many of the hundreds that work here behind me are worried. There's rumor that there may be another shutdown before the busy and very expensive holiday season. This is what people here like to see, signs of a running mill. And the roughly 300 workers there want to keep it that way. But with Kruger saying there may be more shutdowns in the coming weeks, some people here are worried. And government doesn't seem to have any answers for them.
Well, right now, I mean, as I say, the mill's up and running. So I don't know, I haven't had an opportunity to chat with them about the recent shutdown and what it will mean for the future. Once I have those, I would be able, probably in a better position to answer your question.
The minister responsible for the forest industry hasn't spoken to the company either. We tracked him down at an unrelated event in Deer Lake today, where he said he hopes to meet with the company soon.
Any closure that is concerning, I guess, for any government, but as we've done over the past number of years, we'll continue to work with Corner Brook Pulp and Paper. I'm sure there will be conversations going on in the very near future.
We got it? We got it. So.
Government has worked with the pulp and paper mill over the years, guaranteeing them a huge loan, $110 million 9 years ago, the first payment due in 2019. The company hasn't made a payment on that loan since 2019 and now owes more money on it than the government gave them at the time. The finance department refuses to talk about the loan or the payments. Loveless says there is a serious conversation to be had to find out what the company's plans are.
You're asking me a question that I really can't provide an answer to. It's concerning, obviously.
He hopes to speak with Kruger in a week or so. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
And look at that there. That is snow falling in Clarenville. Now the track of this weather system, as I said off the top of the show, moved further west. Clarenville, Gander, parts of the Burin Peninsula saw the most snow, about 15 centimeters. And in Clarenville this afternoon, police asked many people to stay off the roads. Messy conditions in Lewisport and Whitburn as well, where drivers were also asked to avoid the highway if possible. And here on the Avalon, mostly some snow starting late this afternoon, just before the show, in fact, with 2 to 4 centimeters of snow in the forecast for the St. John's area tonight. Now that's a lot less than was in the forecast last night, because that snowfall warning that we had for this area has now ended. And while we don't have a lot of snow in the forecast for tonight, as you can see, it's windy with gusts to about 60 kilometers per hour. So what's in the forecast for the rest of the province for tonight? I'll have more on that coming up a little later in the show. Carolyn?
Great. Thanks so much, Heather. Time to come inside. Well, the PC opposition is calling on healthcare officials to ensure local unionized nurses are used before more expensive travel nurses. The call is in response to a CBC story about the province's nurses union filing grievances on behalf of local nurses who lost work to agency nurses provided by private companies. Government documents show agency or travel nurses cost 4 times more than nurses already in the system. Health officials have repeatedly said they want to stop using travel nurses, but they also say right now the province would have to close hospitals and emergency rooms without them. The opposition party's leader says we're relying on travel nurses too heavily.
At one point, travel nurses were the exception, not the rule. It now appears that travel nurses have become more of the norm. And when you think about the fact that there were nurses available locally to do those shifts, and they didn't use them. They instead hired more expensive travel nurses. So at the end of the day, imagine the fact that the nurses union has to file grievances against the health system in order to get these nurses that should have gotten the shifts, given the shifts.
Still with health care, there are no obstetrical services at the Carbonear Hospital for the next week. In a news release, the health authority says it's because of a human resource challenge. The obstetrics closure in Carbonear runs until Tuesday at 6 p.m. Patients who need obstetrical services should go to the Health Sciences Center in St. John's or the hospital in Clarenville. In an emergency, of course, people should call 911. And the city of Mount Pearl is getting $6.5 million from the province to build infrastructure. More than half the money will go to a new community center to replace Park Place.
It's been a real long battle with inflation since the end of COVID, and naturally everything has gone up. We've had plans for a community center now, I think, for 3 years, Councillor Locke. And we still see that as a great need, and our residents have spoken up about it. So we intend to move forward on that particular file, but also to recognize that, families and outdoor recreation activities are also very important. So part of the plan is to add an outdoor skating rink as well as a splash pad during the summer.
Some giant aquaculture companies with a connection to Newfoundland have settled a class action lawsuit over alleged price fixing. Moe and Grieg Seafood have been accused of working to fix the price of salmon from around 2013 to 2019. The suit alleges the companies conspired to manipulate the Norwegian spot market for salmon prices, thus influencing the global price. The companies have denied any wrongdoing and nothing has been proven in court. They have agreed to an $85 million settlement in the U.S. and now to a $5 million settlement in Canada. That compensation will only go to customers who bought $1 million worth of salmon.
Grocery stores, distributors, fish processing companies. You may have large restaurant chains, large hotel chains, those type of companies that would be buying a large volume. And the theory there being if you're buying that large of a volume, you would have likely had a larger impact.
Well, Shahjeet is celebrating a new song. A group of students from the community released a music video today for their song Free to Be. It was produced by Nui Janan, a nonprofit group that travels to Indigenous communities to teach music production. Here Now's Heidi Adder asked the artists about their new work.
I hope kids look at it and say, hey, or kids at least from around here will think, hey, that's my town. They did something in my town, I mean, if I was a kid and I saw something going on in the little community where I live now, I'd kind of think, hey, wow, that's in my town, I think it'd be cool. So hopefully the kids will think the same.
We are free. I was singing, and when people went to do their verses, I was in the background dancing too. We had I think it's called choreography. I still remember it till this day.
If you want things to be like the old times.
Maybe the first day we're trying to figure out the base of it, and then The second day we try to find, we try to write our lyrics, and then the third day we did, recording and all that. And then the fourth day, we listened to the song.
Me overthinking.
In my zone, alone in my room, you can find comfort inside you. Sometimes I wish you were here. When you're around, I have no tears. And I'm learning from your mistakes. I'm still trying every day.
I don't know. I've always been really scared of just people in general, but I feel like me doing this and it just being posted to the world, it's not like I'm talking to a crowd of people directly, but it's more like if I know that I'll be okay and my life's not going to end by this being posted, maybe I'll grow up to be like a bit easier in trusting myself that things will turn out okay with being in public and stuff.
I would like to learn more. People judge me. I move forward still.
It was a great experience. We went to a lot of different locations in the community, and yeah, they were very beautiful spots.
I'm moving through it, yeah.
Community can be valid for no reason. I wish we could have a good time without drinking. I miss how you were before. We don't have to hurt no more.
I don't know how to express things well, so I think like the way I put it down on the music verse, that really helped. So maybe that could help me too, to express how I feel about things.
What was your verse about?
The community and like how I hate it when people change and they turn to like drugs and stuff.
When people listen to your verse, what do you hope they might think about?
That they can probably understand me too. That like, yeah, I see this happening or something like that. Because it does happen every day.
We are free to be anything, overcome.
What are your goals for the future with yourself now that you know how to do this kind of stuff?
That I can make my own band, actually. Maybe my own music too.
We are free to be
My personal passion is art. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of my future, I guess. But I hope, and yeah, I hope music intertwines with it.
We are free to be anything, overcome these days to create our
I was expecting to get several the same, or I was expecting them to kind of be similar, but they're very, very different.
Stockings hung by a chimney with care, all made by hand from different parts of the province. Hear about the woman who inspired it all. That's ahead.
season of giving, a season of kindness. Let's make the season kind for those in need. CBC is helping support local food banks this holiday season. Visit cbc.ca/bekind to find out how you can help.
Well, Heather, great to have you back in studio after you being outdoors for the first part of the show.
Yeah.
Not very nice out there, very wet, a little bit of mascara running, but you look great.
Thank you. I've come inside, I've shed the hat and the mitts and the parka, wiped the mascara off my face. My hair's still a little wet, but you know, it's winter in Newfoundland.
It is.
Yeah, to go out and show the snow. We've been waiting for it all day. And as I said earlier, that storm system tracked a little further west. So here we are, the highway, Salt Pond down on the Burin Peninsula. You saw about 15 centimeters down in that area of the province. And as we move on to there, oh my goodness, we went too far. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. Clarenville, you guys had some pretty nasty weather today as well. No, it doesn't want to show it. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, Clarenville, you had some pretty nasty weather as well, and the police advised people to stay off the roads. And I just wanted to show that low visibility, but the picture's not working. So the snowfall warning that we were talking about last night for the eastern half of the province there, well, it ended this afternoon before we saw any snow here in the east. And now we have it for the Bonavista, Terra Nova area, and then the special weather statement for Gander. So in the warning area, we could see 15 to 20 centimeters, and in the special weather statement area, we could see 10 to 15. So everything pushed a little further west, and we only got our snow really late, kind of before the show. Really, before Here and Now is when we started to see snow here in St. John's. Our snow accumulation showing a lot less. This has been changing, moving back and forth all day, so showing that we are going to get much less now than we were originally forecast to get. Taking a look at our highs today, 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees in the east, 1, 2 through central, 3 to 4 for the south and west coasts. And as we head up into Labrador, in coastal areas, 0 in Nain to 4 in Cartwright, but much cooler for Lab West, where it's going to be quite chilly in the overnight tonight. We'll talk about that. 24-hour temp change, much cooler right across the province by as much as 12, 10, 11 degrees in some places because we had a warm, wet, windy day yesterday. Now, this system that's currently affecting eastern Newfoundland, it's going to start to move off as we head towards midnight. We'll say goodbye, but in behind it, we will see some clearing and possibly some flurries for the northern peninsula, the west coast, and along the south coast and southern Avalon. So we're not done with those flakes yet. As we move into the morning hours, we'll see some clearing for Labrador, and then again in the daytime, we'll see some more clearing for the rest of the island. Now, as we head towards midnight, we're going to see the winds pick up 50 to 60, maybe even 70 for the southern Avalon along this north coast here of the island. A little bit less for the southwest coast and up in through Labrador. And as the system departs, things will start to back off a little bit by tomorrow. Taking a look at tonight, our temperatures for St. John's, 1 degree, 2 to 4 centimeters expected through Clarenville, Bonavista, Terra Nova. About 5 to 10 for you folks. As we move into central, the temperature drops back to -4 for the Burin Peninsula. You could see another 2 to 4 centimeters on top of what you got already today at 0 degrees, about -1 for the southwest coast, and you could see 5 centimeters for the southwest and west coasts. As you move up to the northern peninsula, temperatures getting colder into the straits as well, -7 to -9 degrees, -7 as well for much of the coast. Chillier, of course, at Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and in Lab City. Taking a look at our wind chill outlook, I want to show you this because look at this here in Lab West, -29, risk of frostbite tonight. So it's going to get pretty cold in the overnight there. And now we're going to start to take a look at the future tracker for tomorrow. This is the clearing trend, but some increasing cloud in Labrador as we go through lunchtime. That's going to push out to the coast, and we're going to have some increasing cloud here for the western part of the island, and more cloud push right on through to the east by the time we head into Friday. Taking a look at our provincial forecast for tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud pretty well. We could see a chance
of a flurry, 1-2 for the Avalon, about 0 degrees right through central and the west coast where you could also see a flurry. Basically sun and cloud, chance of flurries for the whole entire province, -4 in St. Anthony. Into the big land there, temperatures cooler again. Into the minus digits right across Labrador, -9 in Churchill Falls, -7, 5, 8 for coastal areas. Now your long-term people looking forward to parades on the weekend. We'll take a look to see if that forecast from yesterday still holds.
Thanks, Heather. Well, like generations of women in Newfoundland and Labrador, Dorothy Marie Verge Clark loved knitting Christmas stockings for her children and grandchildren. Now, an exhibition in her memory is celebrating that tradition. They Knit features a variety of stockings contributed by crafters throughout the province. It's on display now at the Artisan Studios in Kitty-Vitty Village. Here now, Zach Gowdy dropped by.
This has come together in the last couple of days, and I'm so excited to see it on the wall. The stockings that you see behind us were knit by knitters from right across the province. So we have 76 stockings currently. I checked the mail this morning, there was 2 more, so they're still coming in. The exhibition was created in memory of Dorothy Marie Verge Clark. Her daughter gave a donation to the Anna Templeton Centre with the request that we do a celebration of women who knit in the province. Her mother, Dorothy, was known for her Christmas stockings, and so we thought it was a great idea to put the request out for stockings right across the province and really celebrate Newfoundland knitting through stockings over the holidays. There is a sale of the stockings that's happening as well, which is going towards a program to teach youth how to knit. So we can kind of continue that tradition that has existed in learning how to knit.
So is the exhibition getting smaller all the time as the stockings are purchased? Like if I buy one, does it come down?
So we understand you'd want it for Christmas, but we do want it on our wall. So the plan is the last week of the exhibition. It will be up until December 23rd, but that Wednesday to Saturday, we are allowing people to come in and pick up the stocking if they've purchased it, or we can ship them out that week. We can mail them out, so try and get them to you in advance of Christmas. There is so many great stories, and I think one of the really interesting things about the collection of stockings is they are all different. I was expecting to get several the same, or I was expecting them to kind of be similar, but they're very, very different. There's a different selection of color used, there's different patterns and textures, and I think it's just a fantastic collection.
Now, one of those knitters is very special to you, I understand.
Yes.
Who is that person?
So my grandmother is actually a stocking knitter herself.
She's here?
Yes.
She come over. Hi, Betty. It's so nice to meet you.
You too? That is the Newfoundland penguin that I put in the Christmas stocking. I grafted and I did it. I do a variety of stockings, and that's just one of them.
Now, what do you think of some of the other stockings here in this show?
I think they're absolutely beautiful. And the story and the history behind them, I'm sure it's beautiful.
The stocking exhibition will be on display Wednesday to Sunday from 10 to 4 at the Artisan Studios in the Kitty-Vitty Village. It will be up and available to view as well during our Merrymakers Markets, which is every Saturday and Sunday, leading up to Christmas now as well, starting off with this weekend.
Well, thank you both so much. And is it too early to say Merry Christmas?
Never.
Never.
Merry Christmas.
Housing crisis is also a gender-based violence crisis.
No longer were they willing to work in those conditions, so we were forced into the situation of closing them.
We all know public washrooms are essential.
Our housing coverage continues, from the struggles of finding a safe place to stay to bathroom problems at Bannerman Park. That's ahead. Women living with an abusive partner often face many barriers preventing them from escaping a dangerous household. The St. John's Status of Women Council says the housing crisis has made an already bad situation even worse. Executive Director Lisa Fay says many women trying to flee intimate partner violence are struggling to find alternative housing. She spoke with the CBC's Daryl Roberts.
We are seeing people who have nowhere to go. We all know that we're in a housing crisis. A housing crisis is also a gender-based violence crisis. When people walk through our doors and they say that they're ready to leave, but there is nowhere safe for them to go, it's an impossibility, and they often have to go home back to that violence. We're seeing people who are in NL housing units that also don't have safety in their unit, that don't have the security that they need. We see people who need new doors, new locks. We see people who need a space to call home. We're also seeing people who are facing very particular laws that that are a barrier to them making decisions for their own safety as well. And each one of them has their very own little piece that's stopping them. It might be being unable to get their partner's name off a mortgage. It might be not having the information about the violence they've committed before. It might be about not being able to afford legal support to go through the divorce. For various reasons, people are unable to leave violence. At the St. John's Status of Women Council, we are always asking for a gender-based violence task force. We want a group of people to come together and look at all of the barriers that these stories show us in our systems, whether that be the ankle monitor or whether that be being able to get your 16-year-old child out of a violent situation. We need to look at these in a systematic way, and we have to build systems changes that can allow people to be safe.
And you're just saying like it could be something as simple as a door or a lock. How does that impact the people that you speak with?
When people don't have safety at home, they have nowhere to go to retreat. They have nothing to close and to be safe. We talk to people who have to go to shelters that are mixed gender, and this can mean that they are staying in a shelter with a person who has been violent to them. It can mean that they can't access a community meal because people who have been violent to them are in those spaces as well. Oftentimes, women and gender diverse people can't even be safe in the services that our community offers because people who are violent are also there. It's really important to have a safe space, and sometimes when I see people walk through our doors, sit down on our orange couch and get a cup of tea, you can just see this moment of safety. And it's reassuring, but it's also a moment. And that's what really, really strikes me every day.
Well, staying with housing, there's controversy tonight over the City of St. John's decision to close the bathrooms at Bannerman Park. The facilities are right beside a homeless tent encampment. Now, the city is asking the province to help. The province is refusing, and advocates are saying someone needs to do something.
Well, over the past number of weeks, we've been monitoring the situation. There's been a significant amount of damage done to the bathrooms. There's such things as toilets ripped from the floor. There's been human waste on the floor, clogged toilets and sinks with needles, and just created a very unhealthy situation and a significant amount of damage. And so as we monitored and continued on, we have staff, both city staff and contractors that work at that. We have a plumber who was there practically every hour of the day during the daytime to keep it running. Then the staff said that no longer were they willing to work in those conditions. So we don't have the staff to clean up and to keep the washrooms in the condition that they're required to be healthy, and so we were forced into the situation of closing them.
Public washrooms everywhere are subject to issues, And those issues are a maintenance issue. The easy answer is step up maintenance. This is not new. This was happening earlier before the encampment when the mayor made the choice to close the washrooms at 8 p.m. before Tent City was even established. We all know public washrooms are essential for many, many reasons to many, many people, for us all, and that they often attract various problems, if we want to call them problems, and it's just an easy answer. We need to step up maintenance. This is a maintenance issue, and the city has the capacity to do so.
Well, a similar situation has been unfolding in Nova Scotia, and now Nova Scotia's promise to buy emergency shelters for those living in tents has hit a snag. This fall, the province struck a $7.5 million deal with a U.S. company called Pallet to purchase 200 shelters. But as the CBC's Preston Mulligan reports, that company has hit the brakes, saying Nova Scotia still isn't ready.
The Houston government has learned it's one thing to write the check and buy the 200 shelters and another to get the supports and infrastructure in place to help those who live in them. Until that's ready, Pallet won't deliver.
They're the requirements of the Pallet company, but there are our own standards as well. You know, our service providers won't enter into these sorts of agreements with us unless they're well supported and staffed, and so that's very important to us.
News of the delay broke this morning during questioning by Liberal leader Zach Churchill at a routine legislative committee meeting.
Are there delays in getting those 200 pallet shelters made available as quickly as possible?
There are. Before the manufacturers will ship, there's got to be fencing, washrooms, food services, and professional supports, not to mention buy-in from nearby homeowners.
This is a pilot project, and in this housing crisis, we're looking at, you know, new innovative ideas to try to do these things. We're the first, you know, province to try to do this, so we're working through them, but we'll get there.
The manufacturers say they're ready to ship, and they commend the province for its work so far.
We're working really actively and closely with them to make sure that, you know, they have all the resources that they need to be successful and move quickly. So they're not doing anything they shouldn't be doing. They're absolutely acting with urgency, and we're standing by ready to help them as needed.
It's below freezing now, and people are in summer tents. And this is not safe for people. People are at risk of freezing to death, and people around them are going to be at risk of more desperate actions that are going to be taken by people that just need to get warm.
The Houston government's original commitment for the shelters was mid-December, a target that's now looking less likely. Preston Mulligan, CBC News, Halifax.
The Mummers are planking her down at an annual Janny Jamboree. Watch a fabulously folksy festival, Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Finding affordable daycare can be a real challenge depending on where in the province you're living. Thousands of families know this firsthand. And today on CBC Radio's The Signal, host Adam Walsh assembled a panel of experts to discuss how best to fix some of the province's childcare problems.
Yolande, yourself?
Yeah, so I was pregnant in 2021 when the agreements were announced and $10 a day was announced. And I thought, I have won the lottery of life. I think a lot of parents, and I look back on that and I just think about how naive I was, because the reality is like it's life-changing, but it's not life-changing if there's no spaces in your area. And so just, as being a new parent and talking to other parents and about their inability to find childcare and realizing really I don't know many people. I think I know one person who has a $10 a day space right now. And just hearing from parents their impossible stories. So through that experience, I worked to form a group called Advocates to Build Childcare Capacity, ABCs. Parents got together to try to raise awareness of this issue, and we quickly found out that there can be no ABCs without ECEs, so that there really needed to be like a coalition forming with the Federation of Labor, with ECEs, with the YWCA, and all the people sitting at the table.
Let's talk about solutions. How do we've set everything up, right? We talked about, the price went down, but there's not enough spots. We talked about recruitment and the fact that there's not enough ECEs out there, not enough places. All of this, what's the fix?
Before we even get into fixes, Yolande spoke about parents with children with disabilities.
Yeah.
That's a major problem. If a center applies for inclusion for a child, the process is months long. And Morna can speak to that also. At the same time, the child is there. What a lot of centers do is they have trainees that come in. And the trainees are most likely the ones that are going to be placed in the rooms as inclusion. No, that's not the best solution, in my opinion, because these children need specialized care. There should be a system where ECEs are trained, just like you have specializations in elementary or high school. We need to have a system in place where ECEs are trained in special areas to deal with children with autism, children with Down syndrome, children with anything that is outside of what we deal with normally. And that's not happening. But people won't just get up and go train for that because it's something to do, because there is still, again, no compensation.
No incentive.
No incentive to, thank you, no incentive to do it.
So, specialized training with incentives, right? Yep. We're on the path for some solutions here. What else are we looking at?
A reduction in the time for inclusion support.
Reduction in time for inclusion support, right, as opposed to months, yeah, okay.
We'll have a better sense of how the Canadian economy is doing when the latest GDP numbers are released tomorrow, but one unusual metric suggests it might not be a pretty picture. CBC's Paula Duhacek has more on what's called the lipstick index and what cosmetic sales can tell us about the economy.
The cost of living may be high these days, but business at this Calgary Sephora is booming.
I don't like to admit it, but I come once a month.
I did notice that my ordinary stuff has gone up in price, but I have to do it for me.
The so-called lipstick index suggests when times are tough, people buy more cosmetics, a relatively affordable luxury. Some have disputed the idea, but a recent study from California State University found during the 2008 recession, makeup sales went up while clothing sales went down.
I would say it's been unprecedented.
Analytics firm Circana says Canadian beauty sales are up 18% ahead of the holiday season. That's on top of 24% growth last year.
consumers today, they may be hesitant to invest in a higher priced item like a handbag or designer handbag or a designer pair of shoes, but they're still looking to have that spark of joy when they go shopping.
Those same analytics from Circana show in comparison to beauty, apparel sales are up only slightly this year, while footwear is trending down.
Here we have our derm wall.
Retailers are banking the beauty boom will help keep customers buying.
Our sales last year, they were record sales. This year, we're on track now to eclipse last year's sales.
And Shoppers Drug Mart owner Loblaw says beauty sales have been strong despite inflation.
And we would expect, that to remain the case for the foreseeable future.
Not everyone agrees. Circana says there may be a limit to what shoppers will spend even on affordable luxury. After 2 banner years, they're predicting a slowdown.
This is the serum.
Some shoppers are making changes.
I've minimized some of my skincare and my makeup routine for sure, but there still is certain products that I will go after because they make me feel good and they work well.
A way to save money that still feels like a splurge. Paula Duhacek, CBC News, Calgary.
You might think a pair of rescued sea lion pups would be desperate to get back in the water. Well, you'd only be half right. Look at that. 2 young female sea lions were released back into the wild in Southern California. One was raring to go, the other not so much. They were rescued earlier this year, suffering from various infections and injuries, and were brought back to health by the Marine Mammal Care Center in San Pedro, California. Oh, nice to be on a beach in Southern California on a day like today.
And see the sun.
See the sun, yeah. All right, so yeah, pretty messy out there today.
Yeah.
We're going to look into the long-range forecast, including the weekend.
Yeah,
you mentioned earlier that things are looking pretty good.
Looking not too bad. I mean, it's still a few days out. So as we saw with Newfoundland weather today, that had me drove. It can change.
You had your work cut up for you today.
Oh man, that was a tricky forecast. Thursday evening, we can see Newfoundland under some cloudy skies there, and it looks as though we could see a flurry or two through Lab West. As we move throughout the day, we will see some clearing in the eastern part of Newfoundland, and then it looks like some snow, possibly moving across Labrador and into southern Quebec there as well. Taking a closer look at some precipitation for the island there too. In the east, it looks like we will be cloudy with a chance of showers, 4 degrees in St. John's. Seeing a little bit more sun and cloud on the south coast in Marystown, and a couple of degrees warmer there as well. Through central, you could also see some sun and cloud, but a chance as well. But when we get to the west coast, it could be showers or it could be flurries, and same thing with the southwest coast, 4 or 5 degrees. Getting cooler as we move into the northern peninsula. St. Anthony and the Straits cooling off to 2 degrees. Could see a shower or a flurry there, and the Straits looking more like a flurry. And similar weather expected for Cartwright at 0. Sun and cloud for the north coast of Labrador, though, in Nain, and -6 for you folks. It looks like we'll see some flurries through Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and a chance of them through Lab City at -3. Moving on to Friday evening, we'll see some of that precipitation start to push away with some clearing in behind it, especially for Lab West with that cloud out to the coast and some cloud over the northern peninsula, the west coast, down to the south part of the island there. And that keeps pushing on through as we go into Saturday. We could see a shower for St. John's, 4 degrees there, 4 or 5 through central, picking up some sun and cloud, more cloud and a chance of showers for the Marystown, the south coast area, and some sun and cloud for the Port aux Basques, that part of the southwest coast, the west coast and Corner Brook there, looking like sun and cloud with a chance of showers, and similar weather for St. Anthony on the northern peninsula. Through the Straits, 0 sun and cloud, but through Labrador, especially the coastal regions, it looks like you've got some sun and cloud, some flurries there possible as well. Same thing with Happy Valley, Goose Bay, -7, and some sun and cloud, but much cooler, and -13 for Lab City area. Now, taking a look at our 5-day look at that. Sunday and Monday, some sun and cloud for us. Temperatures not too bad. I know people have their eye on the Christmas parade on Sunday for the downtown St. John's, when other municipalities have things planned for Saturday. Saturday looks like we could see a chance of showers. As we move further west, for Central, Saturday, Sunday, Monday looking good. Same thing really for Lab West. Not too cold, but some minus digits in there for certain. And as we move to Eastern Labrador, Saturday, Sunday, Monday looking not too bad, cooling off though Sunday. And Lab West looking good there as well. And I have this weather photo to leave with you this evening. That's the snow in Clarenville, and it comes to us from Denise Martin. And if you have any beautiful pictures of the snow, please send them our way. And you can do that at nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yeah, it's a real Christmassy scene in Clarenville today for sure.
I think you can see some shovel marks there from Denise.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll have a quieter rest of the week now after today. Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.